I work the night shift in an observatory. It's usually a pretty quiet job, that is until about 3 weeks ago. Publicly, I can't tell you the name or the exact location. The FBI was extremely clear about that. But it's the one that was suddenly shut down and the surrounding town evacuated. Yeah, that one. It's a good job and I thought that I would stay here, but I don't know anymore. In the evening, when I'm driving the winding road up the mountain, I get to the turnoff that leads to the observatory and I just sit there, thinking, maybe I should just keep going, around the looping drive, back down to my house, throw my stuff in the car and just disappear. But then I think that's crazy. So I'm writing it all down, what happened. Maybe writing will help me make a decision. The observatory is not just one building. It's more of a secluded complex. There's the main offices, a small shed where I'm located, and the tall white octagon that houses the telescope and equipment. It's located at the peak of the mountain, surrounded by an old forest. If you walk down the driveway to the main road, to the right is the drive back to town at the base of the mountain. To the left is a 2-mile loop that brings you back to the observatory. Most nights around midnight, for my dinner break, I walk the loop. You can walk right down the middle of the road. There's no traffic and no streetlights, and I like to stop and look up at the stars. Walking along in the dark, it's like I can see every star in the sky. It's unreal. At most observatories, scientists are selected for a 6-week stay. Here, it's a little different. A while back, there was a problem with one of the 6-weekers. Some very expensive equipment was destroyed, some of it irreplaceable. So the observatory board lobbied and was given a large grant. Then they had hired a permanent in-house astronomer. Since I can't use his real name, I'll call him Aaron. The first few days after Aaron was hired, we were busy moving boxes and setting up equipment in the office. Then one night, retrieving something from his car, Aaron spotted me having my midnight dinner outside at one of the picnic tables. He asked if he could join me. I nodded and we talked while we ate. I found out that he was divorced with no kids. It was the same for me, minus the divorce. As the nights went by, we became friends. Often it was just the two of us up there, and we settled into a routine. We would take our meals outside at around midnight. Then he would head back in and I would take my walk around the loop. I never took my phone with me. I left it in a pocket on my tool belt that I left on my desk. Aaron said that I should keep it in case of emergency. I replied that if aliens attacked, I would be back in about 20 minutes. He would have to hold them off until then. And so things went until 3 weeks ago. It was a Saturday night, so it was just the two of us. We had our dinner at the picnic table as usual, and I told Aaron that I was having trouble with the old intercom system between buildings. I told him I might test it later on. He said he always kept his headphones on while he worked, so he probably wouldn't even notice. He liked to listen to music and the local news. As Aaron got up, he said, "I've been hearing some static tonight. Maybe it's from you playing with the intercoms." He looked back at me, smiled, and said, "Enjoy your walk," as he headed back inside. That was the last time I ever saw him. I was about 10 minutes into my walk when I noticed that clouds had begun to obscure the night sky. I picked up my pace, and that's when I heard a large boom. It shook the ground I was standing on. There was a crashing in the woods to my left. Suddenly, a deer ran past me across the road and jumped into the brush. As I stood there stunned, I could hear a low humming sound, almost electric, like a transformer. The sound was coming from over my head. I looked up. Something felt very wrong. You know how you can feel when someone is watching you? I felt like a specimen under a microscope. I turned and started running back towards the observatory. I cut through the trees. It was darker, but it was a much faster way back. I don't know why, but it almost felt safer under the trees. 5 minutes later, I burst through the tree line and kept running across the clearing and through the door, shouting Aaron's name. There was no answer. "Aaron," I shouted again, and then I remembered he's probably got those damn headphones on, and I ran up the stairs to his desk and froze. His chair was overturned, and 2 of the monitors had been smashed onto the floor. I moved slowly towards Aaron's desk. His phone was still there, but my eyes were drawn to his headphones. They were twisted and had what looked like blood mixed with clumps of gray matter on the earpieces. Scrambling back, I reached for my phone, and then I remembered my phone was on my desk in another building. I approached the bloody desk and carefully picked up Aaron's phone. There was no signal. Wait, they still had an old landline connected downstairs. I called the police and told them everything. I said to get an ambulance up here fast, that Aaron had been badly injured. I went out to search all the other buildings, but I never found him. The police arrived and continued the search as I sat on the couch in my office and answered their questions, until the feds arrived and made it clear they were taking over the investigation. They shut down the whole town, and I think they did flyovers of the Black Hawk. I answered all their questions again. This time it was made clear to me that I wasn't to tell anyone about what happened here. They threw around words like confidential and ongoing and prosecutable offense. 3 weeks later, the feds gave their statement. They said they had found child pornography on the suspect's computer. They never named the subject. Since Aaron was the only one missing, everyone just assumed it was him. But I know it wasn't. I know what I heard, and I know what I saw. So I ask you, when was the last time the FBI shut down an entire town and brought in a Black Hawk helicopter for a person looking at pornography? And there's so many people now that are just gone.